Welcome to a very special heavyweight debate. It's Tyson Fury against Dillian Whyte. And today, we'll talk about not just the fight, we'll talk about the past fights and we'll talk about what might happen in the future. It's all here. It's a heavyweight debate. And you know what you need for a heavyweight debate? You need some heavyweights and, of course, a featherweight stroke super bantamweight. So, I've got a table, a list of men here lined up. This, I think, incredible. It's the best we've ever managed to gather together at BT. A man who fought for the world title. He lost. He came back. He eventually won the world title at Wembley. The one and only, Mr. Frank Bruno. That's not bad. I think we can do better, but we'll see as we go through the show, if you don't mind me saying so. And next to him, a man who delighted either 20, 21 or 22,000 people outdoors in Belfast, and yes, it was freezing, to win the World Championship. The darling, the hero of all Belfast. Now he works for BT. He's a good friend of mine. Mr. Frampton! And then the man at the end of that line, he went to France to win the Cruiserweight World Championship. He had no chance. He got up from the floor, he knocked out the Frenchman, destroyed him. That was Cruiserweight title. And then he had a job in Germany against the giant, the beast from the East. 7'2", 23 stone. He bashed him up. He became the heavyweight champion of the world, Mr. David Haye. That's not bad. And joining us on that big screen, a bit later on in the show, will be a man who was born not 3 miles from where we're standing here. He went on to win an Olympic gold medal and then became not just a heavyweight world champion, but one of the greatest heavyweight world champions of the last 50 or so years. Lennox Lewis will be joining us later. Yeah, come on for Lennox. Thank you. That's better. And if that wasn't enough, I've gathered together a crowd, a live audience of boxers, trainers, boxing people. And they're going to be asking questions and talking too. But I needed someone special. I've got Bruno, Frampton, Lennox and Haye. I needed someone else. So I've got our very own BT's Robert Armstrong will go into the crowd.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Buncey, your list of guests is very, very impressive, but not quite as impressive as mine. This studio audience of passionate boxing fans and boxers will be asking questions to our guests, to Buncey. They'll be talking about the fight. And first up, I think we should find out who do we think is going to win. How many Furies have we got? Yeah. A large majority. How many Dillian Whytes have we got?
Come on.
Two. But I'm reliably informed this man is the captain, the team captain. So does your vote double?
Yeah.
Why do you think Dillian Whyte's going to win?
I think he's going to dog it out, knock him out in the 7th round.
7th round?
7th round knockout.
All right, let's go to our other Dillian Whyte supporter over here. Let's move into this section of the crowd. All right, you've got to back up the words now. Why do you think Dillian Whyte's going to win?
I just think, like, Dillian, he's just been holding it down for so long, hasn't had a world title shot. And I think the way they've treated him, like, he knows he might not get another one, so he has to make it count.
All right, just the two of you so far, but obviously that could change over the course of the next hour. Thanks to Buncey and Powers. Buncey, over to you.
Thanks very much indeed, Rob. I'll tell you what I like there is Dillian's going to dog it out and stop him in the 7th round. That scared the bookies, I can assure you. It is a massive fight. I think it's the biggest fight in British heavyweight history. It's the richest fight in British heavyweight history. It's Dillian Whyte against Tyson Fury.
The King is back. One of the biggest fights in British boxing history.
You will get knocked out, you will lose. Dillian Whyte's a coward.
Let's have it! You're getting knocked, Sparta!
It's going to go up.
I am the Gypsy King! No hype needed!
Now, you might have noticed there was an awful lot of Tyson Fury in that film. Well, don't worry, Dillian Whyte is now on board. We'll discuss that a little bit later. David, Carl and Frank, it's a massive fight. It's an enormous fight. It's a all-British heavyweight showdown. You've been there, Carl, not with heavyweights, of course, but in fact, let me ask you a first question, Carl, because one or two people here seem a bit worried. You're OK in the middle of the two big boys there, yeah?
Yeah, I'm just about. Every time I'm on TV, they always get Jans beside me. Someone's messing about, I think.
Well, when you and I do stuff in the future, I'm going to sit down. Frank, I'm going to start with you, right? Because they're so excited. I was talking to some of these people, these young boxers before we went on. They're so excited. You've been not just in an all-British showdown for a world heavyweight title. You've been in, what, 3 massive outdoor fights. Is it different being outdoors? It's going to be 94,000 on the night for Dillian Whyte and Fury. Is it different being outdoors, Frank?
It's a little bit more different, especially when it gets to 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. It's a little bit chilly under the weather. That's why you bring an umbrella with your blanket.
Well, when you came to the ring against Lennox Lewis, you had your boots wrapped in plastic bags because it was wet.
It did help me. It helped me one little bit. But yeah, had to be in plastic bag because it's a little bit green, a little bit wet under the ring.
And Dave, 94,000 people. Is there a danger, because neither of them been in front of 94,000 before, is there a danger of one of them, or even both of them, not freezing, but taking some deep breaths as they walk to the ring?
I genuinely don't believe either fighter will. I think they'll both thrive on the amount of people there cheering. I definitely feel Tyson Fury's been there before. He's been to Germany. He's been to Las Vegas. He's been there, seen it, done it. Dillian Whyte, he's tuned in so much. He's been waiting for this opportunity for so long. He's envisaged walking out to fight the king so many times to dethrone him. I don't believe the crowd's going to impact them negatively in any way. I think it's only going to add to the energy of the fight. I loved how Tyson Fury's last couple of fights against Deontay Wilder, it was an all-out assault. He wanted to just put the heat directly on Deontay Wilder. I'm hoping he brings that same energy, because one thing you know about Dillian Whyte, he's not going to run away from you. He's going to want to stand there and he's want to go to war. And that's what we want to see. And I just think the styles clash beautifully for this fight. And I think it's going to be an upset. I think somehow Dillian Whyte is going to find a way to land that big left hook. You know, I know the bookies don't give him a shot. I know most people here, there's only 2 people out of 20 that gave him a shot. But I think that's his advantage.
Well, that's part of what we're trying to do here today. We're trying to change some minds. We're trying to convert some people. For all we know, we might convert the 2 Dillian Whyte fans into Tyson Fury fans, and we might convert the 15 Tyson Fury fans into Dillian Whyte fans. Who knows? We could do that. And Frank, can you make fights too personal? 'Cause so many of your fights, they weren't personal. They were strictly business.
Yeah.
But once or twice, it did get personal with you. Is that something? You know, is that something that can help or that can hinder on the night, Frank?
It can hinder on the night, but it might help. You know, someone winding you up, depending how far you're going to let it take over. But sometimes when you're at press conferences and people say certain things, you just got water on the duck's back. Just tap it that way, box it that way, and go forward. You know.
Dave, are you looking forward to seeing the pair of them together? I mean, I'm not saying that you can read too much into the body language, because you won't be looking in their eyes. But are you keen to see the 2 of them together, just to see how they work around each other?
I love seeing the fighters in fight week after their full training camp. 12, 15-week training camps. These guys haven't seen each other. They haven't come face to face yet, and I think it's a psychological advantage for Dillian Whyte not to have come over, because one thing you can guarantee is Tyson Fury wanted him here, wanted him there. He would have clowned him. He's the master at press conferences and controlling the whole narrative. He had to do a press conference on his own. I bet Dillian Whyte was back in Portugal laughing his arse off watching that. So it's, psychologically, he's wound everybody else up and he's in a good place. But when they do finally come together, I cannot wait to see the intensity, because one thing about Dillian, he doesn't take no foolishness, and if it gets a bit personal, he'll let his hands go at the press conference. You're going to have to genuinely keep a bit of distance between them.
Yeah, this won't be something you can...
No, not just one security guard, no, for sure. Maybe a steel cage.
You've done that. You've had a steel cage.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if the British Border Control will allow it.
Rob, you're in the crowd. What are they saying? I've seen you listening and putting your head down and hearing stuff. What's going on out there?
Well, Buncey, I've seen some mind games amongst teammates here. I'm going to bring it down to this man. He refutes this man's captaincy. But Dillian Whyte, he's obviously not turned up for any of the press events so far. We've only just seen the first couple of posts on social media about this fight. Do you think it's all playing into Fury's mind, or is it just something that he doesn't want to get involved with?
Nah, I probably don't want to get involved with it. I don't really know, to be honest, but yeah, man.
What about you guys? Think it's mind games, or think just not involving yourselves in the promotion?
Probably just not want to get involved with it.
Things have been smart.
Yeah,
Being smart.
Being smart.
Yeah, but you're a White fan.
It's gonna come out with something in the fight week.
Are we looking forward to it as well? Are we looking forward to the press conference? The first time these two fighters meet, it's going to be mad. They were talking about it on stage. What do we think we're going to see there?
White may not turn up again.
You think?
You might not turn up again, turn up on a fight night.
What about the weigh-in, which is where, obviously, the last time we'll see them face-to-face? Do you think there's going to be pushing? Do you think there's going to be shoving? Or do you think this whole, like, standing off is going to continue?
There's going to be words exchanged and people being irritated. Yeah, shoving, pushing, everything.
We've got a man with some experience of security over here. How would you be planning this?
Oh, as David said, put a bit of a cage in between them, but there's going to be a lot of loud shouting, I'd say.
All right then, Bunsey, it sounds like your cage plan is definitely up there with the best advice for fight week.
Yeah, and I tell you what, don't joke about the cage. They will come together. We will see them together. Dave, what Tyson Fury beats Dillian Whyte the easiest?
I think the easiest way to do it would be to keep it long and box boring.
Sensible.
Sensible, win each round and win on points. That would be, but that's not what he's about anymore. You know, what he's about is giving value for money, is keeping all of those 95,000 people, you know, on the fan base. And to do that, he's got to do what he did in his last couple of fights, which couldn't been any more fan-friendly if you scripted it. You know, I was ringside for both of us. We both were. And he went out there and just put it on Deontay Wilder. And I didn't think that was a possible way to victory against somebody who punched that hard. But he proved me wrong, and he proved himself right. And he has the crown. He is the king because he was out. He was willing to put it on the line. He got decked heavy. He got decked heavy in that third fight. But he got back up and put it straight back on Wilder, and Wilder couldn't take it. So he's coming into this fight with immense confidence. He's coming into it with great momentum. So I think he and his team and everybody believes it's a bit of a walkover. But I don't believe it is a walkover at all.
And that's a danger, Carl, surely. Just, you know, David saying that Tyson and his team believe it's, if not a walkover, a fairly easy fight. Can he do to Dillian Whyte what he did to Deontay Wilder? Can he use the same tactics, the tactics that no one believed he would use in the second fight?
Well, he used it against Deontay Wilder, who's probably the biggest punching heavyweight that there's ever been. Dillian Whyte isn't a biggest puncher as Wilder, but he's a puncher. And he's dangerous, and he's a bit more, he's cuter on the inside. He's a smarter fighter than Wilder. But someone asked me an interesting question there recently. Did Fury fight like he did in the second and third Wilder fight because he had to? Is the mobility move because of the ballooning up in weight and the well-documented drug and booze abuse that he's put on his body? Did he have to stand and fight? And can he not move like he used to move? Because that kind of defied logic, the way he used to box at the start of his career. But there's certainly the second and third fight against Wilder, he was a much more exciting Tyson Fury than we've ever seen.
You mentioned that there about Dillian Whyte, and he is strong, Frank. He is strong. Is Dillian Whyte I know we're talking about Tyson Fury, but I'm going to ask you: is Dillian Whyte your sort of fighter, Frank?
I like him because he goes in any sort of like fight. If he's fighting on the street, he'll still go in there. What you see is what you get with him. He used to be a karate or kickboxing champion. Him and Joshua met as his kick or whatever they got on. But he's a good, honest guy. He ain't had many fights, but he's hungry belly. And you go in there and give it the best he can, and you can't ask them to do anything better.
What I'd like to do now, if possible, is I'd like to do some of the technical stuff. And who better than BT's very own Richie Woodall, an Olympic bronze medalist in 1988, a world super middleweight champion, and we put him in the ring with Joseph Parker. Parker went 12 rounds with Anthony Joshua, and he had 12 unbelievable rounds with Dillian Whyte, and he also lives and works alongside Tyson Fury. Here's Richie and Joseph.
Ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
And I'm coming forward, and he's doing that.
So I think he'll use obviously his height and reach.
Yeah.
Feints, jab, touch.
Yeah, and I'm looking for these shots or trying to whip over the top.
And he'll control you. I feel he'll control Dillian with his left hand.
Yes.
To set up the right hand, you know, and making little movements, not wasting energy. But if he gets into one of those things where Dillian puts on a lot of pressure, then he has the ability to move around know, move around, use his feet.
Give us some insight of what Tyson's like. So if Dillian Whyte gets up close and works here, wants to work here, what does Tyson do to negate that?
I think Tyson
ties him up.
Tyson can grab and, you know, move him to the side and maybe put him in the corner.
Right, okay.
And then start teeing off on him or move back and sit, you know.
Yeah, because Tyson is underestimated on the inside, isn't he? And he's good. He's quite a good inside fighter.
I think he's a very good inside fighter.
Yes.
So he can adjust and adapt according to what's in front of him.
Yeah.
And he's very smart in doing it. So if it's pressure from Dillian Whyte, he can make,
coming forward.
Or he can impose his figure and push him back by not closing the distance, you know, still at range, using the left.
Yeah. That jab's an important shot for Tyson Fury.
He has one of the best jabs and one of the longest jabs.
Right.
You know, off the feints, double jabs to the body, left hook, touch. There's many things that he can do.
And if that jab comes out here, there's a big. It's probably more than that.
Yeah.
The problem that Dillian's got is
it's probably longer.
Yeah.
And
the problem Dillian's got, he's got to try and avoid that.
So he can
try and get around it. Yeah. And also, I find that Tyson Fury is very good at controlling the pace, to control the pace to what he wants to box.
He dictates the pace to what he wants, you know.
Dictates.
So he can slow it down, or he can pick it up, throw a lot of punches, or just set it up, traps. He dictates the pace very well.
Yeah, he's a box of tricks, isn't he, really?
Yeah. A lot of tricks.
A lot of tricks, yeah.
So some good points there. Joseph Parker and Tyson very, very close. And Joseph giving away one or two things there to Richie. And I think even Richie was impressed. Carl, but it's no surprise. Tyson Fury's very tall. He moves well. He cracks you with the right hand, as Frank said. And he throws a good jab. Surely it's easy to beat him. You know what you've got to do.
If I was his coach, that's what I would be telling him to do. But if I this one in the mix, Joseph Parker is Team Fury. Is he selling as a dummy? Because Tyson Fury said, I'm going to stand and fight him in the centre of the ring. Who knows what we're going to see after Wilder 2 and 3. We don't know what Tyson Fury we're going to see. I expect him to do what Joseph Parker says, but would he be giving us so much information away? He's to literally give the game plan away, and he's his team.
I think he's going to do exactly what he did against Wilder and come out. I think the momentum and the hype and the praise and everyone's adulation of how he attacked Wilder for the last 2 fights, he's like, I want some more of that. I want people to know that I'm willing to go toe-to-toe and just smash people. And I don't think he believes...
do you think from the start he'll do that?
I think from the start, he'll feel him out, obviously, as most boxers do, but he'll then impose himself. I think watching the Povetkin fight, Povetkin knocking him out would have gave him immense confidence.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, when Fury got put down heavily, he was able to get to his feet.
Get back up.
When Povetkin put down Dillian, he was down. So in his mind, he's got a better chin than him. He's big. He's on the momentum. He hasn't fought as many good fighters. Never fought any world champions yet. So I believe the momentum's there, and he's just going to put it right on Dillian.
If the sparring stories are true, that Fury's been knocked down.
No, forget those, Carl. No. Forget the sparring stories. Everyone knocks everyone else down now.
Well, if I'm fighting,
Fury's around the corner.
That's the truth, yeah.
See if I'm fighting a sparring partner who's knocked me down before, I'm getting there really kind of cautious, really cautious.
What's interesting there is the boys have mentioned it here, and I know there's people in the audience talking about it, and that's the weight. Will that weight, if he comes in 4 or 5 stone heavier, will that weight be a factor? Rob?
Yes, Buncey, we've got talk about the preparations of Fury's camp here. Clearly, Carl thinks there's something more going on, a little bit of covert ops from Joseph Parker. But a man here has a question about Fury's weight.
My question is, like, what dangers would it pose for Fury coming in heavier?
I think it could maybe slow him down in the later rounds, but he's shown when he is heavier, he's actually performed better. When he was fighting against Wilder the second time, I think that was one of his career heaviest weights. Same thing for the third fight. So he's so big, a stone here and there doesn't really make a difference. If he was Carl, so if it's going from 9 stone to 10 stone versus 19 stone to 20 stone, you don't really... Yeah,
his last fight, 3 stone.
3 stone heavier.
3 stone heavier.
He performed fantastically well, so I'm not that bothered with his weight. If he comes in another stone heavier than that...
I think we'll know how he's going to fight and how he's going to approach the fight, depending on what he comes in at on the weigh-in. If he's a bit lighter than Wilder, he may want to get up and move a bit more. If he's as heavy as he was against Wilder or heavier, he may stand and have a fight.
Now we move on to Dillian Whyte. We've touched on various aspects of Dillian Whyte, David, but He knows Tyson Fury. He's prepared for Tyson Fury. And he's been in an unbelievable sequence, 8 or 9 fights going back 4 or 5 years. They're hard fights. They're great fights to prepare you for Tyson Fury, surely.
Yeah, he's the fight statistically where he fought a guy of similar sort of size was Marius Vac. For whatever reason, he didn't really impress me on that night. He was in Saudi, I think. He was massively overweight, Dave, as well that night. In all fairness to Dillian, he didn't seem like the Dillian Whyte that got in the ring against Povetkin the second time. When he's motivated, he's very, very effective. When he doesn't believe his back's against a wall, he lowers his level. So thank God he's getting in there against the king. The Gypsy King, Tyson Fury, so we know he's going to get the best out of himself.
If he can't get motivated for this, Carl, I know he's waited 1,000 nights for his chance. If he can't get motivated for this, he needs to change sport, surely.
He's going to be right up for this one. He'll do whatever he can to win the fight, and while he's in there, he'll be swinging and trying his best to win the fight. And I'll tell you something about Dillian Whyte, which is better than Wilder. Well, he's a few things better than Wilder, but when he has someone hurt, he'll be a better finisher. And Wilder, once he had Fury hurt, he didn't know how to finish him off, and Fury was able to be clever and hold on and actually come back and win the rounds after he was knocked down pretty heavy. But if Dillian Whyte has you going, it's going to, and there's more than kind of a minute left in the round, it's going to be difficult to stay in there.
Frank, that seems like a big statement from Carl there. If Dillian Whyte gets you going, if he hurts you and there's a minute left, he'll finish you. Do you think the same thing?
Yeah, I think so. Most of his fights he's had like that. Once he sees a little opening there, he's like a harbour shark onto you. And
then the sweet potato.
Yeah, I can't believe the sweet potato. That's a must. Sweet potato.
It's 2 fighters in their physical peaks at the best time in both of their careers, ready to go to war. And I really can't. Do
you not think if you're going to build a fighter to make Fury look good, you build someone close to Dillian Whyte?
No. First off, you have to be much bigger than that. Like Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder was the ultimate person to make Tyson Fury look amazing, because he did. Because he had the power to knock him down, but didn't have the accuracy and technical know-how to finish him when he was hurt. Whereas Dillian Whyte is able to mount body assaults and is able to put his punches together when he has someone hurt to close the show. Yeah. And that's not what has happened in the past with Fury.
And one thing also, Frank and Carl, is that Dillian's got all those long fights under his belt. Yeah. He's got, even if it's a hard 7 or 8 rounds, in addition to the 12 rounds, he's got the rounds. And as you know, Frank, your first defeat, that was probably because you didn't have more rounds going into it.
I weren't paid either full time as well. But yeah, the Colombian guy that he fought the other day,
tough guy.
Oh my God, the shoulders on him, he was super fit and whatever. He had to fight him to get where he had to get. He got where he beat the guy and he still had to wait. Yeah. So I think this must be a fresh air for him to get in there and try his best. But I hope his best is good enough to beat Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury is a very dangerous and a tricky fighter.
His game has come. Like he does that, coming out. He is a dog. Like that's how he fights. Like he's an aggressive. A wolf.
He's a wolf dog.
I'm a chihuahua. He's a pit bull.
Husky. There's no need for that, Frank. There's no need for that. There's just no need for that. Carl's having a lovely afternoon sitting here, OK?
But that's how he fights. He's so aggressive and he fights like that.
I tell you what, it's sort of heating up a little bit here, but Rob, I'm getting the sense, because as I'm talking, at the start of the show, I couldn't hear the audience. Now, every single point these guys are making, I'm hearing murmurings. What do you got for me?
Yeah, Bunsey, we've got a lot of sweet potato talk down here and a few wolf howls as well. But I think we've got a couple of questions about Dillian Whyte, starting with this man here.
So, other than Whyte's left hook, what else is there that's special about it? What else is there that's special that he can bring to the table on a fight night?
His right hand down the pipe isn't bad. I thought that exact same thing until the first round of the Chisora fight, and he nailed him in the first round with a big right hand. He really sneaks in that left hook to the body. Is very, very effective. Yeah. His punches inside, his uppercuts. Ask Joseph Parker.
Amateur, was he?
Yeah, ask Joseph Parker about what he's like inside. He mauled him on the inside, really put significantly more than someone like Anthony Joshua did. He did a much better job at him. Put him down a couple of times.
Do you feel as if he will still be coming for that left hook no matter what?
He always does, yeah. He knows that's his honey punch. So if he can land it, he knows he can change the course of the fight. He was losing against Derek Chisora until the 11th round.
Punch caught him.
He just kept throwing it, and sooner or later it landed. So he knows no matter, even when he's behind on points, he's still got the ability to take someone out. So that's a massive bonus for him, because a lot of fighters don't believe they have that finishing shot, so they end up just falling into losing and continuously lose rounds. Whereas he's always got that belief in inside himself because he's done it before.
Next to, I think you've got a question as well.
Yeah. So, David, do you think that White's got the power to knock Fury out then?
He's got the power to knock him down, for sure. If Deontay Wilder wasn't able to knock him out with the shots that he landed, then I don't think anybody can.
Yeah.
You know, I think, can he stop him? Yeah. Can he hit him with that shot and him not fall down but fall against the ropes, and then he hit him with 3 or 4 punches in a row and the referee jumps and stops it? Yes, I think that's possible.
One more thing, sorry. So, what is your predictions on the fight? Do you
My prediction is that Dillian Whyte finds a way to come away with a victory. I think he's primed and ready now to cause one of the biggest upsets since Anthony Joshua lost probably to Ruiz. I think it's a similar type of situation where very, very few people are giving him a shot, and that actually works in Dillian Whyte's favour. The pressure's off of him. He hasn't been there for press conference, hasn't done anything. No one's worrying about what he's going to do, but I know he's behind the scenes working hard.
Here's a question. Although Fury, we'll all agree, won the 3 fights against Wilder, the last 2 fights were pretty brutal. Is there a chance that maybe they've taken a bit too much out of him?
The shots he took were probably the hardest shots I've seen a heavyweight take and continue to keep coming. Probably like an Ernie Shavers left hook again. And that type of...
Foreman, those type of fights from the 70s.
They take something out of you. How much it takes out is unknown. But we'll find out on the 23rd. We find out when they go toe-to-toe.